know when you're ready to marry? Is it when you clock a certain age, or when you achieve a certain figure in your bank account, or when you're just done being single? Most importantly, how do you know who to marry? For the ladies, is it that tall, dark, and handsome man? And for the guys, is it the lady who knows how to cook well and dresses neatly and nicely? Well, how do you really know? Our topic for today is how not to marry the wrong person. And trust me, I have just the right people for this discussion. Hi Saints, my name is Marianne Ushi and this is Catholic Faith Forum. Let's go on a quick break. When we get back, the conversation begins. Do not go anywhere.
Have you ever tried communicating with someone who has headphones on? Future communicators. Choosing the right partner requires effective communication and understanding. Dear brothers and sisters, remove any spiritual headphone you have on that can prevent you from listening to the Word of God. Because the presence of distraction in your life can hinder their relationship with God.
Welcome back, Saints. This is Catholic Faith Forum, and our topic for today is how not to marry the wrong person. And I said just before the break that I have the right people for this conversation. I'm talking about Mr. and Mrs. Ausbet and Ifeoma Udebu. You're very welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you,
Thank
Marianne,
you.
for
Thank
having
you
us.
for honoring my invitation. I like your outfit. I mean,
Thank
still-
you.
still-
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mrs. Ifeoma Udebu is a graduate of economics from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, with 15 years work experience, which spans over banking, business development, warehouse management, and procurement. She is currently working with P1 Group as a manager. She is the secretary of the Catholic Women Organization in her parish, St. Dominic's Catholic Church, a member of Catholic Couples for Christ, and board of church warden. She was also the immediate past chairperson of the Youth and Children Harvest in her parish. She loves to dance, she loves traveling, and she loves cooking. Also, Mr. Ausbet Udebu is a graduate of Rivers State University, where he obtained a BSc in Business Admin, Banking and Finance option, and he also obtained his MSc Transport and Logistics from LASU. He has worked in various organizations and was a haulage contractor with NEPA. He's currently an affiliate director with P1 Group, and they are both happily married with lovely children. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank
So how
you,
are you?
Marianne.
How has your week been?
Great. Wonderful.
Okay, what about you, ma?
Awesome.
Awesome. I can see you're shining, you're radiating. That's good. Okay, so our topic for today is how not to marry the wrong person. So marriage. They tell us that marriage is a very important, aspect of a person's life. And I must say, Mr. Ausbet is a marriage counselor at St. Dominic's Catholic Church. So I looked for the right guest for you. Okay, so can you share a personal story or experience where you or someone you know gained valuable lessons from a relationship that shaped, their perspective or their choices on who they now eventually want to spend the rest of their life with? Any experience?
Okay, I think I'll answer that.
Okay.
Actually, when I wanted to get married, it wasn't easy for me. There were some things I really looked at and I was like, can this really work? So he kept coming to my residence that time, and told me that he's found someone he wants to marry, that the person's name is Ifeoma. I was like, oh, wow, So by the time he eventually broke the camel's back, I was like, are you for real? Are you joking? So I told him that it's not going to work. Then I was looking at so many factors, the kind of car he was using that time, his bank accounts and so many things, yes. So my friends were like, no, don't go that route. This man is really a good guy that you will enjoy, So even one of my friends told me he might not have the kind of money I'm looking at. Yes, his car, but then I promise you, you'll never go hungry in this relationship. So I had a rethink. I started looking for some I started noticing rather some values in him. So even some of my friends were like, our age differences, this, that. But then I was like, okay, since he is like this, and the most important factor is that he's very God fearing. He's someone that he doesn't have secrets. So I was like, let me throw in the towel. So, but I can tell you today that I have no regrets. I've never lacked anything in the relationship. And today, the kind of car that we are driving, it's what I had envisaged before now. So my friends, they were like, it seems as if you're a prophetess. You saw the future and everything has really, I can tell you for free that as I speak that we are financially free. We have a good car, lovely kids, and in fact, I can't ask God for more.
Wow.
So.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, sir, what are those things to look out for in a partner? You can use your own personal experience to answer that question. What exactly did you see in her? What are those things that you would advise people to look out for when choosing a life partner?
Okay, thank you. I'd like to approach it from the fact that what are those things to look out for? I wouldn't like to just personalize mine. I think first and foremost, being a Christian is an advantage because choosing a life partner means looking into the future. Now, how far into the future can you see? So limited, except you have the aid of God. So being a Christian is an advantage because you have to base everything on what God directs you to do. So oftentimes, for you girls, you look out for the tall guy, the rich guy. Women will look out for the shapes, the face, and so on. But those things are transient. Those things can disappear. The richest man can become the poorest man the next day.
Yeah.
The most beautiful woman, when he gets old, the wrinkles will make him change. So if those are the things you're looking for, it means that you keep on marrying. But if you're looking for those innate things that don't change with time, God fearing, first and foremost, you also have to look out for people who is ready to love. Is somebody who is ready to make sacrifices. There are people who are not qualified for marriage. Somebody who cannot forgive cannot marry. Now, the best gift of love is trust. If you want somebody to trust you, are you trustworthy? So you have to make yourself qualify to ask for something. So these are some of the things that you look out for. But then, something like career, money, and so on are things you can actually build from wherever you meet your life partner. You don't have to say that the person must be having masters, doctorate, or those things are things you can even work on and achieve them at any point in time. But the important thing is that you must base it on prayers.
Okay, so you heard it, prayers. You have to look for somebody who's God-fearing. You must start with God in whatever you do. You must, look for that person that, is trustworthy, that person that you can love and sacrifice for and is willing to also do the same for you. All right, it's time for us to go on a quick break. Let's find out who our saint of the week is. Don't go anywhere. We haven't even started the conversation. Stay with me.
Our saint of the week is St. Gerald of Aurillac. St. Gerald of Aurillac was born into a noble family. His father was Count Gerald, and his mother was St. Adetrude of Aurillac. Gerald began the normal education of a noble youth of the period. When he was of a sufficient age, he began to learn how to use a bow, ride, and hunt. It is assumed that he also attended his father in the administration of seigneurial justice and learned some of his future duties through observation. Good boy. His family was religious, however, and put him to work learning how to read the Latin Psalter. It was at this point that Gerald's life was permanently shaped. While engaging at this study, he showed some aptitude and enjoyed his work. He came down with pimples. The exact nature of the disease is impossible to determine, but it might have been some type of adolescent acne. At any rate, It was severe enough to make his parents fear that he would not be physically strong or impressive of appearance. In that day and age, such a development would have meant that he would have to be unable to hold his station or possessions. He was put into seclusion and put to a more intensive study of grammar to prepare him for the possibility that he might have to turn to a religious career. After relatively extensive training for a career of peace, Gerald's pimples cleared up, and as an only son, he was put back on the regular education for a landowner. He was late, however, and had developed a taste for a more studious life. Nevertheless, he developed some aptitude, and when at an undetermined date, his parents died, he was unable to assume his position as successor. It was sometime at this point in his career that a great psychological crisis occurred. Somehow or another, Gerald was still a virgin. He saw a serf girl and was attracted by her complexion, and told her father to prepare for his visit that night. When the moment of truth came, Gerald, having gone through a rotten youth and having been filled with stories of value of chastity, broke down and fled. Oh boy. The girl was freed, given land, and married off. Gerald thought it punishment for his loss. For the next 11 years, his sight grew increasingly poor. He finally lost his sight in later years. Upon his father's death, Gerald became Count of Aurillac. When he made a pilgrimage to Rome, he gave away his possessions to the church and dedicated himself to serving God. He established a church and a monastery on these lands. Though he never joined an order or house, he lived in chastity and recited the divine office each day. Gerald proved to everyone that one can live religious virtues while still wielding secular authority and wealth. St. Gerald's feast day is celebrated on the 13th of October every year in the Catholic Church. St. Gerald of Aurillac, pray for us.
Welcome back, Saints. I hope you enjoyed the story of our Saint of the Week, and there must be something that you should have picked from the story, and I really hope that God helps you as you try to live out a good life so that one day you too can be a saint. All right, back to our conversation. So you talked about some things to look out for in a life partner. Ma, do you have anything else that you want to add to that?
Yes, I do. You really need to marry an adult. When I mean an adult, I don't mean not by age. An adult, someone that is mature in mind, someone that can take responsibility, someone that can say something and stand by it, someone that can shield the wife in any circumstances from external influences, from family and all of that. You know, sometimes you have some spouses that I call baby adults. You know, anything that happens in the marriage, you run either to your mom or to your dad. You know, those are the kinds of things someone needs to avoid. Right, I beg your pardon. So you really need to marry someone that you can share your life with. You know, you really need to marry someone that you can tolerate, because they always say that in marriage that you have to forgive in advance, because yes, you always fall out with your partner, so you need to do the forgiveness in advance. So you need to look out for somebody that can tolerate your excesses.
Okay, so talking about, tolerating excesses and knowing that there would always be fallouts in marriage. Now, we've heard of the term red flags, those warning signs that they've advised us to run away from when you see in, a person. So can you maybe explain some red signs that you think are very critical for people to run away from, so that they know that anybody that you see that is acting like this or that has these traits, you need to run away? If not, wahala.
Someone that does not forgive, someone that is resentful. If something happens in 3 days time, 1 week, you still have not forgiven, some go the extra mile of writing it on the wall that on so day you did this, you did that. So those are the red flags, because you can't they said you can't change somebody. If even such individuals, you can't even improve on their traits, So those are the red flags. Another one is someone that is very secretive, Marriage is all about yielding to each other, submitting to each other. So those are the two I have to talk for now.
Okay, sir.
Okay. If I want to add to that, I think basically for somebody who is getting married, if you are in a relationship, you have to, sometimes consciously provoke your partner to know the kind of ways he reacts. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Is that not testing?
Well, it's not a question of test, but you must be intentional about what you want to do. You want to share your life with somebody, you should be able to know who you are sharing your life with. Because if somebody who is under normal circumstances, anything, you say, if I, well, you know that person is likely going to hit you one day. So when you see things like that, then you see the reaction under normal circumstances, maybe during the time you are driving on the road. You see the way he relates with other drivers and all. I mean, Lagos gives you an advantage because you can actually know the temperament of somebody you want to marry by just moving from one end of Lagos to the other. By the time you see that kind of reactions, you begin to wonder, is this man this rash? Is this woman like this? And so,
but what if they can do that to other people but not to you? Because there's some people in Lagos that drive and they'll just frustrate.
They cannot do it to you.
Because me sometimes I know the number of people that have been insulted on the road. But then, so you think that if they can do it to other people, then they can do it to you as well?
If they're doing it to other people because they have gotten to a certain level, there is a day you get that to that level in the house, and then you get your own food dosage. So that's exactly.
And there's a saying that goes to us that if you do something consistently for 28 days, it becomes a habit. So the person might not really remember again that he's not on the streets, that he or she is at home. So
then in terms of red flags too, you have to also find out whether the person is caring. Find out how the person relates to the father, how he relates to the mother, how he relates to the younger ones, and so on. You begin to find out the kind of mannerism that the person has, which kind of connection does he have. Then, because when it comes to sharing a life partner, sharing life with somebody, it's something that is going to be long lasting. So if the person does not give you a sign that they can forgive, I think it's a very big red flag. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Very, very insightful, I must say. So how important is self-awareness now in choosing a life partner? So before you go into a relationship, how important is it for you to understand yourself first before, going to complicate somebody else's life?
Well, maybe I'll take it from the man's angle. Maybe my wife has to look at it from the female angle. Because for a man, for God's sake, if you're getting married, you should be able to know the expectations. You must have your own accommodation because you're bringing in somebody to stay with you. So if you say you want to get married, you must be able to at least have a roof over your head. And then you're bringing in somebody, and if God blesses you, in about a year or so, you're going to be 2, 3, 4, and then school fees, this and that. So you are actually expected to be at a certain level in terms of financial provision.
All right, so Ma, before you answer, let's go on a very quick break. It's time for us to meet the KYF crew for our Know Your Faith session. Over to you.
Have you ever wondered how a new pope is gotten? Do you even know whether it's through selection or election? Stay tuned to this video because I will be narrating the whole process of getting a new pope with you. Hello Saints, it's your girl Elefachi, and today we'll be talking about how a new pope is gotten. When a pope dies or resigns, the governance of the Catholic Church passes to the College of Cardinals. Cardinals are bishops and Vatican officials from all over the world, personally chosen by the Pope, and they are recognized by their distinctive red vestments. Their primary responsibility is to elect a new Pope. Now, following a vacancy in the papacy, the cardinals hold series of meetings at the Vatican called the General Congregations. They discuss the needs and the challenges facing the Catholic Church globally. They also prepare for the upcoming papal election called a conclave. Many terms, right? Meanwhile, decisions that only the Pope can make, such as appointing a new bishop or convening the Synod of Bishops, will be placed on hold till after the election. In the past, they made arrangements for the funeral and burial of the deceased Pope. Previously, 15 to 20 days after the papal vacancy, the cardinals gathered in St. Peter's Basilica for a mass invoking the guidance of the Holy Spirit in electing a new pope. Now, only cardinals under the age of 80 are eligible to vote in a conclave. Take note. They are also known as the cardinal electors, and their number is limited to 120. For the conclave itself, the cardinal electors process to the Sistine Chapel and take an oath of absolute secrecy before sealing the doors. The cardinals vote by secret ballots, processing one by one up to Michelangelo's fresco of the Last Judgment, saying a prayer and dropping the twice folded ballots in a large chalice. 4 rounds of balloting are taken every day until a candidate receives 2/3 of the vote. The result of each ballot are counted aloud and recorded by 3 cardinals designated as recorders. If no one receives the necessary 2/3 of the votes, the ballots are burned in a stove near the chapel with a mixture of chemicals to produce black smoke. When a cardinal receives the necessary 2/3 votes, the dean of the College of Cardinals asks him if he accepts his election. If he accepts, he chooses a papal name and is dressed in papal vestments before the processing out to the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. The ballots of the final round are burned with chemicals producing white smoke to signal the world the election of the new pope. The senior cardinal deacon announces from the balcony of St. Peter's, "Habemus Papam, we have a new pope," before the new pope processes out and imparts his blessing on the city of Rome and the entire world. That's quite a long process, right? Now you know how a new pope is elected. Tell me what you think about the whole process in the comment section. And as usual, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Till I come your screen next time, always be a bold Catholic.
Thank you very much for that session. Amazing, I must say. All right, so back to our conversation. Ma, before the break, you were going to tell us how self-awareness is important in choosing a life partner.
Yeah, from the women perspective,
yes.
You really need to know what you want and what you're going into. Marriage is not the bed of roses, I must say. You will look forward to having your children. You need to know how to take care of children, how to cook. And another thing is that you need to be homemaker. You need to also make peace, because your mother-in-law will come for Mugo and all of that. So you really need to make the family a very conducive one, because most times the issues usually come from we ladies. We'll start saying, "I am a banker, I work on the island," or "my work this, my work that." When you come back in the evening, you won't even prepare anything. You resort to, "I am tired." No, you really need to, conscientize yourself. What's the sacrament that you're about to enter into, and know what is required of you.
Okay, thank you very much. Well answered. Now, there are some people who, on their own, they're good, and then they even have those traits that you're looking for in a life partner. They are God-fearing, they are financially stable and all of that. But then you hear of the term, "we're not compatible." Some people break up because, there's love, there's everything, but something is just not working. So how can you assess yes, your compatibility with a potential life partner? Who wants to answer?
Well, I think compatibility comes with being able to forgive. and being able to overlook some certain things. One person had to let go. Sometimes, yes, if you want to get married, there are some differences in academic status, financial status, social status, and all of that. But sometimes you need to lose guard. You need to loosen yourself. You always need to reach a compromise or an equilibrium with your partner. Because if you don't do, you can never be compatible, because both of you are coming from different family backgrounds, different trainings, different exposures, and all of that. We've had an issue that a marriage wants to disintegrate just because of the way the man presses the toothpaste. He said in my home that we start from the base, the thing will now look so fine, but you press from anywhere. I was like, excuse me, toothpaste, what does it have to, but these are the little things you need to. Sometimes, like my husband, his own is area scatter. You see his shoe in Jericho, you see his shirt, but when I look at the good side of him, I don't see it as an issue. I'll just pack it. Maybe when I'm packing all those things, he'll now look at me and I'll be like, you started. So that tolerance and forgiveness has to come to play.
Okay, thank you. Well answered. Sir, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't have.
Okay, I think she has, said it, because these people are good on their own, but then you just see that there are certain areas where they lack certain things. But being able to understand
and overlook.
Yes. So finally, final words. What's your advice to young people like me who are looking out for somebody to marry? What just one advice that you want to give in all your years of being married? That one thing that you think is a very tough lesson that people need to know before they enter marriage.
Okay, I will take it from a very different perspective. I would say marry the person that loves you. Find a way to find out the person that loves you and marry that person. Why do I say so? If you marry somebody that loves you, that person is ready to give every level of sacrifice to keep you.
True.
And if you are marrying somebody you love, you should also be ready to give the quantum of sacrifice that is required to keep the marriage. They say 100% is all that is needed. If you are going to give 90 and is ready to bring 10, you're happy because it's somebody you love.
By your own advice, one.
Wow. My own advice is that you really need to know what you want. I always tell people that a broken relationship is better than a broken marriage. If you can't enter a marriage having in mind that you can change somebody, you're not God. If you know you really need this person, and there are some traits in him or her that you don't really like, you need to be ready to sacrifice. You really need to be ready to let go. You really need to be ready to convince yourself that this is the man that I want to share the rest of my life with, or this is the woman I want to share the rest of my life. And if you are not ready, I think you should continue praying. Otherwise, the relationship might not work.
Let me tell you her own. When she was praying for somebody to marry, she was praying that she would not marry somebody who snores. But she ended up marrying a locomotive.
No, I told him, well, he said he was even surprised that I wasn't complaining. I said, wow, that is not as if I'm not, my mom snores. My two brothers, even my dad.
So yeah, you.
So they are the ones that really made it easy for you.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's been an interesting and engaging conversation, I must say. So there you have it. That's how you should marry. And now I hope that you know who not to marry. It's very important if you're looking to get married to be able to first understand yourself, know what you want, and know what you want in a partner, so that you don't make any mistakes, because you can make mistakes outside the marriage, but once you have entered, you have entered. It's always good to remember to be ready to make sacrifices and understand your partner. You might not really find the perfect person, really, but how can you reach a compromise with that person If it's not possible, stay away. Remember to always look out for the red flags, the ones that you can
Yeah.
cope with, fine. The
Yeah.
ones that you cannot cope with, please know when to run.
Take
That's
care.
our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you very much, Sir Ma.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you,
us.
Bless your
Marian.
marriage.
Amen.
Will continue to keep you in
Amen.
love. All right. If you have any questions,
Thank
comments,
you.
do well to drop them in the comment section of our YouTube channel. We are Dominican Media. We're also on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at CFF on TV. I am Marian Ushi. You know me now. Catch me on Instagram at _Mary and Ushi. And until next time, keep being saints in jeans and shirts. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.